Hey everyone, ready to dive into something kind of mind-blowing. We're tackling a question today that, well, people have been wondering about forever. Can we actually cure aging?
It's a question that's gone from like myth and legend to actual science. It's pretty exciting.
It really is. And we've got this really interesting mix of stuff to look at today. We're going to check out a CNBC interview with Kristen Fortney. She's the CEO of BioAge. It's a biotech company. And get this, they use AI to understand like longevity, how to live longer.
Oh, wow.
And then we're also going to look at some of the predictions from this futurist, Jose Luis Cordeiro. He's saying we're basically on the edge of the death of death, like
Yummy.
no more death.
Okay, so we've got like the hard science side and then way out there of futurism.
Exactly. So with BioAge first, their whole approach is so interesting. They don't just go after one specific disease. They look at people who are already like super healthy, living long lives and try to figure out what their secret is.
So like learn from the people who are already doing it right.
Yeah. They call it human data first.
I like that. Makes sense.
So to actually do that, they use, AI and machine learning to go through these huge amounts of data from these things called biobanks.
Yeah.
Basically, a biobank is like a giant library of biological samples and all this health data.
And the AI is like the super speed librarian that can find anything in there.
Exactly. So it's not just about living longer, it's about extending your health span, like how long you're actually healthy and doing well, not just alive.
Makes sense. Quality over quantity, right?
Totally. And one area BioAge is doing some cool stuff is in muscle aging. They made this drug, BGE 105, and it's designed to basically copy what this natural peptide called apelin does in the body.
Okay. And what does apelin do?
Well, apelin seems to be really important for muscles to like repair themselves and regenerate. And they found that people who age really well often have a lot of activity happening with apelin in their systems.
So they're trying to boost that with this drug.
Exactly. And check this out. In their phase 1b trial, which is like an early stage trial to test safety, and if it actually works, BGE 105 actually stopped muscle atrophy in people over 65.
Whoa, hold on. So, like, it actually prevented muscles from wasting away.
Yep. And right now, there's nothing that really works for age-related muscle loss, which affects like millions of people.
Yeah, I mean, that leads to all sorts of problems. People get weaker, they fall more, they lose their independence. It's a huge deal.
Exactly. BGE 105 could be a game changer, not just for treating those problems, but maybe even for slowing down how muscles age in the first place.
Like hitting the rewind button on aging muscles, that'd be incredible.
I know, right? But hold up, it's not just muscles. BioAge is also going after cognitive decline, how our brains age.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one. Everyone worries about that.
Right. So for that, they're looking at this thing called NLRP3. It's like this part of our cells that, if it gets too active, can cause all this inflammation, and that's linked to cognitive decline.
Okay, so how do they stop it from being overactive? Well, they've developed these new drugs called NLRP3 inhibitors, and the really cool thing is some of them can actually cross the blood-brain barrier.
That's that barrier that protects our brains from, like, bad stuff in our blood.
Exactly. Super hard for drugs to cross, but if they can get these inhibitors in there, it could potentially treat, all sorts of brain aging problems and neurological diseases.
So BioAge is, like, coming at this from all angles. It's almost like they're trying to crack the code of aging itself.
They are really pushing the limits of what we thought was possible in terms of treating or even preventing age-related decline.
It really is mind-blowing. Okay, so we've got BioAge, super scientific, data-driven, but now let's switch gears completely and talk about Jose Luis Cordeiro and his, well, way more futuristic vision. He's actually saying we could get something called longevity escape velocity by 2030.
Whoa, 2030, that's like right around the corner. What does he even mean by longevity escape velocity?
So it's this idea that technology will get so good that we'll be able to extend lifespan faster than we age.
Wait, so every year we'd be adding more years to our life than we're losing to getting older?
That's the idea. Like we would actually outrun aging, maybe even stop it completely.
Okay, no, that sounds like science fiction.
I know, right? But Cordeiro isn't just some random guy. He's a respected futurist who's been studying this stuff for years. So what makes him think this is possible?
Well, he points to a few things. First, he says that some cells in our bodies are already biologically immortal, like cancer cells and germ cells, the ones that make sperm and eggs.
Huh. So part of us is already immortal.
In a way, yeah. Those cells can keep replicating forever because they can keep their telomeres long.
Telomeres, remind me what those are again.
They're like the protective caps on the ends of our chromosomes. Every time a cell divides, the telomere gets a bit shorter. Eventually, they get so short the cell can't divide anymore.
Ah, like a clock ticking down for the cell.
Exactly. But those immortal cells, they figured out how to keep their telomeres long so their clock never runs out.
So Cordeiro is saying, what if we figure out how they do that and apply it to the whole body?
That's one of his arguments, yeah. He also talks about things in nature, like the immortal jellyfish, which can actually go back to an earlier stage of development and, like, start its life over.
Hold on, a jellyfish can just decide to be young again.
It's not exactly a conscious decision, but basically, yeah, it shows that being biologically immortal isn't just this theory, it's already happening out there.
So Cordeiro is saying, if jellyfish can do it, why not us?
Pretty much. He's saying that biological immortality might be within our reach if we can unlock the right mechanisms, and he thinks technology will be a big part of that.
And you said germ cells, the ones that make sperm and eggs, are also biologically immortal. So, like, the potential for immortality is already inside us. I still can't get over that.
Yeah.
But is he just making comparisons, or does he actually think we can, like, replicate this in humans?
He argues that with all the advances in technology, especially in things like regenerative medicine, gene editing, and AI, achieving biological immortality might be closer than we think.
So he's not just saying we'll live longer, he's saying we could potentially stop aging altogether.
Yeah.
It's a huge claim.
It is, and definitely controversial. But let's break it down. What are some of these technologies he thinks will lead to this, like, longevity revolution?
Well, you mentioned regenerative medicine. I know there have been some cool breakthroughs in that area, like with induced pluripotent stem cells.
Right. Shinya Yamanaka won a Nobel Prize for figuring out how to take regular adult cells and reprogram them back into stem cells, which are basically like blank slate cells that can become any type of cell in the body.
So could we use this to, like, repair or replace damaged tissues and organs, basically making the body younger?
That's the idea.
Yeah.
And then you have David Sinclair's research on reversing age-related vision loss. He's actually shown that it's possible to reverse some of the damage that happens in the eye as we age.
Wow, actually reversing age-related damage. That's incredible. But where does AI fit into all this?
AI is becoming such a powerful tool in like almost every area of biology research. Think about AlphaFold, the AI that can predict the structure of proteins.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. It's revolutionizing how we discover new drugs and how we understand how aging works at a molecular level.
Exactly. And AI is also being used in so many other ways. Analyzing huge sets of genomic data, finding potential drug targets, even personalizing treatments based on someone's unique genes.
It's like having a superpowered research assistant working around the clock to figure out aging.
That's a great way to put it. And Cordeiro believes that AI will be essential for achieving this longevity escape velocity. He sees it as the key to really understanding how complex aging is, and then developing treatments that can slow it down, stop it, or even reverse it.
Okay, so we've got these incredibly powerful technologies, regenerative medicine, gene editing, AI, all focused on cracking the code of aging. But even if we could achieve biological immortality, wouldn't there be huge implications for society?
Oh, absolutely. It would completely change our world in ways we can't even imagine. Everything from healthcare to our economic models to how our society is structured, it would all have to change.
And what about the ethical side of things? If people could potentially live for centuries, what would that mean for, like, overpopulation or how we allocate resources or even, like, the meaning of life itself?
Those are big questions we need to start thinking about now, because if Cordeiro and others are right, these changes could be happening sooner than we think.
Wow, it's a lot to take in. But before we get too lost in the ethics and the societal stuff, there's one more piece of Cordeiro's vision that we need to talk about: digital immortality.
Ah, yes. The idea of uploading our minds to computers and living forever in the digital world. Now things are getting really interesting.
And that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive. All right, so we've covered a lot, from BioAge's very scientific approach to Cordeiro's, like wild predictions about longevity, escape velocity. But we ended on a big cliffhanger: digital immortality.
Definitely where things go from, biology and medicine to straight up science fiction. Or maybe not.
I know, we're talking about uploading our minds, like our consciousness, into computers, living forever in the digital world. Are we really talking about, like, becoming digital ghosts or something?
Cordeiro would probably say that's not so crazy, especially with how fast brain-computer interfaces are developing.
Yeah, he keeps mentioning things like Elon Musk's Neuralink. But isn't that mostly for helping people with disabilities right now?
It is, yeah. But the idea behind it, it's the same, making a direct connection between your brain and a computer. I mean, if we can already use these interfaces to let people who are paralyzed control robotic arms just by thinking about it, well, you can imagine what might be possible down the road, right?
So you're saying if we can read brain signals and turn those into actions, it's not that big of a leap to actually record and store those signals, like make a digital copy of your consciousness.
Exactly. And Cordero thinks that as AI keeps getting more powerful, we'll be able to create these digital simulations of someone's consciousness with all their memories, personality, even their sense of self.
I gotta say, that's super fascinating, but also kind of creepy. But even if we could do that,
Ugh.
would that digital copy really be you? Or just a really good copy?
Now you're getting into some deep philosophical stuff. It makes you question, like, what does it mean to be you? What is consciousness, really?
Right. Like, if your consciousness is basically computer code at that point, is that still you? Or just a simulation? And even if it is you, what would it be like to exist as, a mind without a body in a digital world?
I mean, try to picture it. Would you have a virtual body? Would you be in a simulated world? Would you still be able to, like, learn, grow, feel emotions? It's wild.
It's totally the Matrix. And it brings up so many ethical questions, too. Who gets to use this technology? Would it create a whole new divide between people who can afford to upload their minds and those who can't?
And what about someone hacking into your digital consciousness, stealing your memories, or like messing with your thoughts?
It's exciting and terrifying at the same time. But okay, let's just say for a minute that all this is possible. We cure aging, we outrun it, we even upload our minds. What would that world even be like?
I don't even know. It would be like nothing we've ever seen before, with completely new rules and challenges. Would it be a utopia or dystopia? Who knows?
Exactly. Would it be this amazing world where everyone lives these long, healthy, fulfilling lives? Or would it be like overpopulated with not enough resources and social unrest everywhere?
And think about the environment. Could the planet even handle a bunch of like immortal humans?
Oh, talk about an existential crisis.
Definitely makes you think. But even if these are just ideas for now, all the research happening in longevity, it's making us face some really big questions about what it means to be human and what kind of future we want.
It's a conversation we need to be having now because the future's coming, ready or not. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left wondering if even some of this comes true, what does it mean for you?
What are your hopes and fears? How would you feel about living a super long life or even the idea of digital immortality?
These are questions we all need to think about as we head into this unknown territory. The answers, well, those are still being written.
So, what do you think? Could death someday be optional? The science is rapidly evolving and the debate is just beginning. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. And if you're interested in more stories about the cutting-edge tech and scientific breakthroughs that are reshaping our world, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. We're constantly exploring the innovations that are disrupting our lives and shaping our future. And we'd love for you to join us on this journey.